talk about potentially 15 years of experience needed to be acquired, or at least a couple just to get good. What about traders who have a mentality that perhaps they have a gift, and there are I'm just thinking of the analogy of sports people. He was really good from a very young age.
Yeah.
Are there people who sort of have a natural, not quite the right word, but a gift, or is it just deluded and the market will show them up?
Yeah. Well, there's actually the whole expertise literature is very interesting. It looks at expertise across a whole range of things, from chess playing to sports to musical expertise and so on. And one of the big findings of the expertise literature is actually that this idea that people are mostly naturally gifted turns out not to be very well founded. Actually, most expertise, the differences in expertise that you see between people at the top level often have a strong basis in the degree of what expertise scholars call deliberate practice. So this is a critically engaged, focused work on your own learning as you practice in your area of expertise.
10,000 hours.
That's often bandied about 10,000 hours, 10 years, this kind of stuff. And actually, then you look at, you say, well, but how about these people who do really well, in gymnastics and they're winning the Olympics at 14 and those kinds of things. When you go back and look at it turns out they started very young. Now, I think trading has a lot of that to it. Now, that's not to say that individual differences don't play a role, and we've looked at some of those kinds of individual differences. But what the expertise literature suggests actually is that the differences that make the most difference are those things that keep people motivated to stay involved. So it might be social support, in the case of athletes, often from their parents from an early age. It might be that they have personality characteristics that mean that this is something that they're very motivated to do. But indeed, some of the research, for example, around testosterone and trading, there's some very interestingly different interpretations around. One is that testosterone is discussions about why there's so few male and female traders, female versus male traders. Well, one interpretation is that there is a link between testosterone levels and performance, and you see that in relation to P&L, there's some results that suggest that. Another interpretation actually is that testosterone kind of immunises you against stress. So another interpretation is that testosterone actually immunises you against stress to some extent, and the way this interpretation goes, it says that people who are less prone to suffering from stress or more resilient in the face of stress, it's not that they're better traders because of that, but it means that they survive longer to learn. So it helps them learn. And one of the issues that you always face when you're looking at what makes a difference between high-performing traders and low-performing traders is often the high-performing ones have been around a while, and it's not clear whether you're picking up on a difference between people or a difference that is to do with who tends to drop out over time. Who are the survivors rather than who are the best performers. Now, nonetheless, I think that some of our other research suggests that stress resilience, in the sense of the ability to manage your emotions moment by moment appropriately, is a really important predictor of trader performance. And we've done work using physiological measures like wiring traders up with heart rate monitors. And what you can get out of heart rate is actually you can process the signal in a way that tells you about people's moment-by-moment management of their reactions to the environment. And that turns out to be a really good proxy for understanding how well they're managing their emotions moment by moment. And if this is a high level, it suggests that someone's responding appropriately to their environment. If it's at a low level, it means that either their capacity for emotion regulation has become completely exhausted, or they're kind of frozen in the headlights, you know, that rabbit in the headlights moment that we all have from time to time.
It's not because they're just super cool.
No.
So you want to see a high rate, you want to see blood pressure up really, because that shows you've got...
It's not so much blood pressure up as as moment by moment variation in how your body's responding. Okay, so here's a quick account of how our physiology works and why it's interesting in relation to trading. So imagine you're one of our ancestors walking across the savannah, and you've got an animal skin around you and a pointed stick. That's it. That's between you and the environment. But there's lions out there, and there's bears. And you're walking through this long grass that's full of, there's long grass and bushes, and not only are there lions out there, but there's lion-shaped bushes. Now, if we've got a fight-flight reaction, that's known as our sympathetic nervous system. And what that does is, if you see a lion, it gears you up physically. You know, your heart beats faster, your pupils dilate, all of this kind of stuff to get you ready to either run very fast or fight very hard. Your body doesn't care which of those it's going to be at this point. You know, you get to make that decision a bit later on, but you know, you're geared up to do that. And that takes about 4 seconds to kick in, mostly because we can run really fast for about 4 seconds without having to breathe faster or our heart beat faster and so on. So it's, you know, we have to have that reaction, but it can take a while to kick in. But if what you did is every time you saw out the corner of your eye a lion-shaped bush, is your body geared up like this, what would happen is you'd be exhausted before you walked 100 yards. So we've developed in evolution, we've developed another nervous system called the parasympathetic nervous system, and its job is to kick in when your brain goes, oh, no, that's a lion-shaped bush. Now, the parasympathetic nervous system, what it does, if you like, it sculpts those reactions, those very basic fight-flight reactions to be appropriate to the environment. Get a bit of thinking in there. And that system can kick in within about half a second. So it actually kicks in before the sympathetic nervous system gets to gear you up in that way. But there's a quirk in our physiology. The quirk in our physiology is the effect of the parasympathetic nervous system on the heart gets turned off once in each breathing cycle. So you can take a signal out of the heart rate data around the frequency of breathing and almost completely isolate the effect of the parasympathetic nervous system. So that's what this high frequency heart rate variability that we looked at is. It's that bit of the signal that says this is the effect of that system that's responsible for saying, okay, no, it's not a lion, it's a lion-shaped bush. Or equally, you know, maybe it is a lion and we have to pay more attention, but it's that sculpting, fine sculpting of your reactions. So what it's really measuring is it's measuring your moment by moment flexible reaction to the environment. And so high levels of that are optimal, clearly, especially in a fast-paced environment like trading. Now, the other thing is that more expert, more experienced traders tend to be older. And we know that this high-frequency heart rate variability, our hearts deteriorate as we get older. So actually that comes down naturally as we get older. So the natural expectation would be that the high-frequency heart rate variability would be lower for more experienced traders rather than higher. But we had a hunch that, you know, this would be a quite good measure of what we'd seen before in the interviews, that the more expert traders are better at managing their emotions. And it turned out to be exactly right. So when we got resting heart rate variability data, we got people to wear these monitors overnight. We set them up so they wouldn't turn on till 1 in the morning, because we also had a 3-way accelerometer on it to tell us about how much they were moving. We wanted to know when they were asleep and lying flat and still. And it tended to show, you know, if you turned it on before 1 o'clock in the morning, it tended to show these rather interesting up and down motions. But we got that resting heart rate data, and sure enough, the older traders had lower high frequency heart rate variability while resting than the younger traders, and both were quite high because when you're resting, that's when it's at its maximum. And then we did the monitoring during the trading day. And the two things came out of that very nicely. The first is that the more expert traders had much greater high frequency heart rate variability during the trading day, including around planned news events, like the non-farm data. Very interesting comparing them over the planned news events. The second thing we found is that all traders, we looked at the VIX as an index of market volatility, and for each day's trading we looked at their average high frequency heart rate variability, and we also found that all traders had more problems managing their emotions when the markets were more volatile, which kind of makes sense, but it's also the time when you might like them to be a bit more in control of what they're doing, because it really matters.
Fascinating.